Hey guys, I'm Offsheen, and welcome to part 4 of the VEX Onshape tutorial. So far, we've wrapped up all the VEX related assembly features, so as you guys can see, we've left the assembly, and now we're in the Part Studio. Today we're going to be going over the basics of creating custom plastic parts, so if you guys haven't watched the rest of the series, definitely recommend checking those out so you know how to connect these pieces that you're going to be making to the rest of your robot. But for now, let's jump straight into the video. Alright, so now we're in the Part Studio, and this is essentially where you can start making your 3D plastic parts. But I know, yeah, after looking at all this, it may seem a little bit intimidating, but do not worry about it. As you guys know, there's always the search tool here that you can use to essentially search any of these things, like for example, extrude. You could look at that and search it up here. And if you guys don't understand this explanation, you could try copy pasting this to AI to give you a little bit of a more simple explanation. But anyways, let's start actually making parts. So when you make 3D parts, you want to start with a 2D shape and turn that 2D shape into a 3D object. So think about it like a magical notebook, and you want to start sketching on a notebook, and then that whatever you sketch will come out in be 3D. So to do that, you click sketch, and then you want to click one of these planes, which will almost define which way you're drawing the part from. So say you want to draw the part from the right or left side, you'd select the right plane, front and back, and top and bottom. But for this example, we'll just use the right side. And then I find it really useful to use this cube over here and select the faces on it, so it will align you perfectly on there. But once you're in the sketch phase, then you have a bunch of these tools over here. And these tools are just different ways to draw whatever you're trying to draw. So in the beginning, we have just basic lines. So if you want to use lines, and we have all your basic shapes, so whatever polygons you want, circles, different types of ways to make rectangles, a bunch of different arcs, cones. So whatever you want to make, you can definitely make it. But for example, let's just say we want to make a square. So we want to then we would want to start with a rectangle, and we can say we start over here, and then there's two ways to actually make that square actually a square. Like over here, you can see that these two numbers, they're not the same, which means that the square won't actually be square. So to make them the same, you could either use the equal tool, which is in the geometric set. So it's all geometry related. So for sketching, you need to know some basic math, which can be annoying, but trust me, knowing your math helps in general when it comes to engineering. So know your math. But anyways, for making a square, you could just set these two things equal. So say we set this side and this side equal. Now we can see that it's a perfect square. But even then, we're not setting the exact size of that square that we want, which is something that we want to do, especially in VEX, because we're limited to a 4x8 poly. So we want to make sure that we make our poly pieces, our plastic pieces, the right size, because to get into the competition, they'll measure it. And if you don't have the right size, you can be kicked out of the competition, or you have to remake your poly right before the competition, which wouldn't be that fun. So to set that to the right size, you can use your dimension tool, which is over here, which is just you can access by clicking D, or you can get all your basic tools over here by clicking S, the same hotkey in the assembly, S, and it gets all these, D, and it gets specifically just the dimension tool. But anyways, to dimension, you click aside and you set that to whatever length you want to be. So since I have these as equal, when I click enter or click the check mark, both of these sides will become 3 inches. And that's really nice. But to take it a step further, for dimensioning, you can also set angles. Like for example, if we have a few lines and we wanted these lines to be 90 degrees, we can take that and select both lines, and it selects the angle between those. So then you can set that to 90 and it automatically makes it 90 degrees. But there's also a geometrical or a geometry tool for that, which is perpendicular. So you could just, instead of having that set as 90 degrees, you could use a perpendicular tool, and now it's still 90 degrees, but you don't have the dimension there. So these perpendicular tools make it really, really nice to make your CADs just look better overall. But I will say we wanted to make something actually 3D. Well, to make something 3D, you need it to be a closed shape. So to make something a closed shape, you can tell when there's a gray line. So over here, now there's a a gray filling, light gray. That'll be lighter than if you have a dark background. I believe if it's in the white background, it's a dark gray filling, but you'll be able to tell. Anyways, we can select this dimension to be, say we want it to be 7 inches, and we want this to be 3 inches. And then we can check if it's able to move, and usually a telltale sign if your CAD is good is if it's not able to move. Right now though, we can tell that it's moving, so that means something is wrong and we need to make it a fix. While you can allow it to move, usually that means that it can be a little goofy, so you want to usually stick away from that. So what I can do then is I can make this line vertical, so straight up and down, and now it's fixed. So then I can click the check mark. Clicking enter doesn't get you out of there, just cause then it would be annoying. And then you can use the extrude function to make this just kind of come out. And then usually plastic pieces are about 0.0625 inches or 1/16 of an inch. You can adjust that to whatever plastic you're using, obviously, and select it, and you'll have your plastic piece. But let's say that we wanted to actually check if this is in size. So then what we could do is we can hit sketch, and we can create a rectangle, and in that rectangle, let it load a little bit. Okay, in that rectangle, we can set this rectangle to be 4 inches wide and 8 inches tall. And now, if this shape is able to fit in the rectangle, whatever you created, you'll be able to know that it's working. But anyways, if we go to the extrude, if we wanted to, we could also select this rectangle and it would extrude, because in this extrude function, it's really nice. You can select whatever you want or whatever you don't want. So like, say for example, I want a hole of the size of that triangle. Then what I can do is I can just select the outside and it'll make that hole over there. Or say I selected both of them already and I wanted to make the hole, then I can create a new extrude, make sure I can see that sketch, and then from there I can select the sketch and select remove and make sure that it's facing the right direction, and it'll cut it. So that's the most basic way to start actually making plastic, and using that and these other tools over here, you can start making just general flat pieces of plastic. Next time, I'll be showing you guys how to actually make these plastic according to your robot. So like, for example, a sled, where you need the holes to actually fit on the C-channel, you need to know exactly how you want it to be. So we'll be going over that process next time. Other than that though, I hope you guys had fun watching the video, learned something new. Let me know down in the comment section if you guys learned something new or what you guys want to learn, and I'll go over it. But anyways, check out some of the other videos that I have, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.